So I have zero plans. I have no plans in place. I have some half ideas to share with you. And the first is with like Taylor Swift's new album, you're going to see every business educator and marketer in all the land like pull business and marketing lessons from her. And I understand why. Totally no shame, no shade if that's something that you're already doing or consuming. Truly, there is nothing wrong with that. But I want to like use this as a time to showcase the need for discernment in its many, many forms. And actually, Christina and I recorded a 2-part like episode on our podcast, the Christina and Dusty Show. And what I want to do though is speak to this through the lens of like business discernment, because while a lot of the lessons you're going to hear people talk about using Taylor's like launch strategies and marketing strategies as an example are wonderful and absolutely could probably be applied to your own business and your own content creation and to a million things. But some things I want you to keep in mind. First, you and Taylor have different goals. I mean, I'm assuming your goal isn't to be a worldwide icon and make music and sell them, like sell music. Like, I'm just assuming if you're here. I mean, if it is, then maybe follow her playbook play by play. But more than likely, you guys have very different goals in mind. There's a lot of overlap probably. Like Taylor Swift has really cultivated a community, a movement, a conversation around her work. And there's certainly things that we can learn from the way that she has done that and implement into our own businesses. But I want you to remember that the ultimate outcome between your business model and her business model is different. And so the way you're going to get to the end goal is going to be different. Also, remember that more than likely you're a solopreneur working on building something by yourself between naps or between a full-time job, or like you don't have an entire, your everything is not set up to help you reach this one goal. More than likely, you're wearing a lot of different hats and you're doing a lot of different things, and you don't have the money or the bandwidth to pour your whole everything into one project like Taylor does. That is seriously, please know that there is no shame, no shade on any of this. It's just a different approach to work and a different approach to life, like a different worldview, different goals that's going to come to different outcomes and different ways we approach those goals. So I guess what I'm trying to say with far too many words is, as you see business advice, content, education, whether like it's being related to Taylor Swift's new album or not, just take it with a grain of salt. Listen, be eager learners, ask questions, and then spend some time in prayer and look back at your own strategic plan and say, is this actually aligned with my owner's intent? Does this actually align with the vision for my work? Does this actually align with the mission that I have within this quarter to accomplish my owner's intent and my vision, right? This is all stuff I walk you through identifying and articulating within my strategic plan course, Grounded. And lately, my focus has really been to try and finish up all of the curriculum for that, because it's been in an early access sale right now. So you can get it for $200 off right now. And I would highly recommend that you do, because there's a ton of modules that are going to drop really soon and a handful of people in the course. And it's been really cool to hear from the people who are in the course right now and how much they're loving it and how much they're enjoying it. It means so much to me when you guys share your experience with whatever I'm creating and how it's challenged you, or like what you liked or what you didn't like. Like, I just want to be able to have a conversation with you, So it means a lot. But anyways, bringing this back to this point of like business discernment is that you can't make really sound decisions in your own business or in the pursuit of any goal or dream that you might have, whether it's something that you're monetizing or not, if you don't have sort of like if you're not rooted in strong foundations. Like, it comes back to everything that I do and everything that I teach of like, we need to focus on foundations over flourishes. And your foundations might look a little different than somebody else's foundations. And before we can even establish those foundations, I need you to know, like, what is your goal? What are you working towards? Why are you working towards it? To whom are you working towards it with? Like, this is kind of the stuff I want you to think through and pray through as you consume content from me, from other online business educators, even from friends, or like those like strangers that like offer unsolicited advice that make you question everything that you've ever known. because I've been there. I'm sure you have too, right? This is just a call to arms, a call to say, like, armor yourself with some discernment, be humble, be willing to learn, be willing to ask questions. But yeah, that's been on my mind a lot. There's like a whole post in there within me somewhere. But right now I'm feeling a little frantic. To be quite honest, I'm feeling a little frantic. Yeah. So what? It's October 14th. My birthday is on this Saturday. It's on the 18th. And I love a birthday. I love a birthday so much. Really, what I love is any reason, large or small, silly or made up. Wait, are those the same thing? To celebrate. I love an excuse to like make a big deal out of nothing or make a bigger deal out of something big. Like I think that celebration is so, I know that celebration is so important. It's such an essential piece of the way that we worship, of the way that we remember, of the way that we honor, and the way that we remind ourselves why we're doing the things that we're doing. Whether in work, in life, in business, in whatever. I just really love a reason to celebrate. So it's not so much that it's my birthday that I get excited. It's just that I get excited about birthdays because it's a reason to celebrate, right? It's a reason to bring people together. It's a reason to be happy and have fun and be silly and play and eat yummy food. And who doesn't want that, right? Anyways, this is going to be a chaotic and frantic episode because, as I just said a minute ago, I am feeling both chaotic and frantic. I'm starting to kind of get settled into a routine, sort of, but it still feels bumpy. And like, is it ever going to not feel bumpy? I don't know. But what I will say is I'm making a few shifts in the way that I approach some things, and it's actually already serving me really well. And I'm like a week and a half into these shifts, and I want to share them with you. I've just decided that's what this episode is actually about. You're welcome. The first is that I'm spending less time prioritizing Instagram content and more time prioritizing blog posts, Substack content, and then using Threads and Substack notes as ways to market those things. And Threads has really been, I've already gotten to like sales and clients through using Threads, and I'm not doing anything revolutionary there. I'm just being present there, commenting on people's stuff and saying my own random nonsense. Like it's it's a good space for visibility. I don't think it's the premium space for deeper connection from my perspective, but it is a good space for visibility when you're bringing them into a space for deeper connection. And you need to, from my perspective, this might be subject to change, but you need two sort of main platforms. One that's for visibility, one that's for connection. And so in my own marketing plan, from a social media perspective, my visibility plan right now is primarily going to be Threads and then secondarily Instagram. And ironically, my follower count on Instagram has been pretty stagnant for years and years and years. As I've gotten onto Threads, it's grown a bunch. Not a bunch, but I lost a bunch, I'm gaining a bunch. It's like I'm starting to find more of my people, right? Because when I grew my Instagram account to be what it is was one, when Instagram was kind of a whole different ballgame. But two, it was when I was running Houseplant Academy is when I really experienced this big growth. So many people are following me that maybe don't really need my content now and aren't seeing it now anyways. And as I'm being more active in the places, they're starting to see it come up and be like, wait, who is this lady? I don't know who this is, because they followed me years ago, probably to learn how to keep their houseplants alive, not how to grow their business and talk about biblical discipleship and theology and, marketing and stuff. So it's good. It's like a checks and balances of I'm losing a ton of followers and I'm gaining new ones, but I wasn't the gaining piece wasn't happening until I was more present on Threads, and from a place of just play, from a place of experimentation and just let's just see what sticks. Let's not look at the metrics and the stats at everything just yet. Let's just put stuff, throwing spaghetti on the wall, truly. And to that end, one of you sweet, I want to say you're a listener of the podcast too, but somebody in our lovely community emailed me and said that they had been praying that they would find a business and marketing educator online that was lead in a specific way that gave them the kind of content they need, but that was rooted in Christ, that was rooted in the gospel. And then they saw my thread pop up right when they opened Threads. That kind of stuff is incredible to me, because I'm just trying stuff. Like I'm just trying to be faithfully obedient. It's not like God gave me a direct command, be on Threads, but it's just me like taking one small step in front of the other, me trying new things, me just praying that God would have all of the glory and make much of my little. And because of that, like somebody was really touched by something and got the support that they needed and got to like come into my courses and come into my world and start to learn from me. And it was just such an encouraging email and a good reminder that that faithful obedience doesn't look like a blueprint always. Sometimes it just looks like trial and error. Sometimes it just looks like maybe this will work. We'll see, I suppose. And you're kind of coming back to that strategic plan of being like, does it align with my owner's intent? Does it align with my vision? Does this help me accomplish those things? Then let's just give it a go and see what happens. And I feel very much kind of that's where I'm at right now. So I'm leaning more into Threads as visibility, Substack notes kind of, but from my perspective, there's not quite as much visibility there. And I do think it matters the kind of content on Substack notes in particular, but maybe that's just me. I don't know if I have enough like data to give you any insights into that yet. I'm not seeing great results from that, but also I've not been utilizing it for very long, but I haven't been using Threads for very long either. And I'm already seeing results there. So whatever. I'm playing, right? I'm just letting myself have fun. I'm trying to take the pressure off because like I've known Instagram hasn't been working to its fullest potential for a while, but I've had a really hard time letting go of that. And I realize the reason is because I don't want to have to learn a new thing. Like I knew how to do Instagram really well for an old version of Instagram. And now the platform has changed so dramatically and I have not changed with it. And I'm feeling such resistance to that change because I knew how to show up well there before and I no longer do. And it's hard to be back in this trial and error space. It's hard to be back in this place where I've like I can do the exact same things that used to get me dozens of followers and dozens of sales and now are seen by 3 people, maybe. And none of them like it. So like the like metrics and what matters and what we need to measure is different now. And I've had a lot of resistance to rolling with the punches in that way, but I'm trying to get over myself. I'm trying to roll with the punches and let it come from a place of experimentation and let it come from a place of play. And if I dig down even deeper, I have realized that if I let go of Instagram in particular, and I don't want to let it go forever. Like I'm not trying to say I'm not going to be on that space. I'm just no longer going to be creating content for Instagram, which is something I made a declaration of ages ago, but then like did not follow through on that, to say the least. But I am actually doing that now. And I have been actually having this sort of new approach to the way I show up online. And it's been fruitful for me. But I realized, and kind of where that conviction piece has come in for me, is I realized that the real reason I think I'm having a hard time letting go of marketing techniques and like ways to build a community that I know no longer serve me and trade them for things like focusing on blog posts, focusing on long form content that I truly love to create, but that's usually see a slower return. And I think that's what has been hard for me. It comes from a place of pride and comes from a place of like being desperate for those vanity metrics. And I shared about it when I had this sort of wake up call. I'll put a link to it in my show notes. I sent it as an email to my community. I don't think that I shared it here with you guys, but I'll put a link to it in the show notes for you. But I had this sort of wake up call and I realized that very much so. Maybe I did share it with you guys. Truly, I forget sometimes the words that come out of my mouth in this space. Anyways, the idea is that Christina said it to me. Bless her. I love you, Christina. She said in different words, basically, that success does not equal sin. That it is not a sin to crave and want and desire success. And that when you reach success or you're struggling to reach success, neither of those things are sins either. That it is not bad to want those things. And in actuality, the same good God who created us out of an abundance of love created us to desire abundance. And having that mindset shift and realizing that like, if I'm trying to reach for this kind of abundance that God has offered me through means that are rooted in pride, rooted in vanity metrics, rooted in quick wins, like that's not abundance. That's like a hamster wheel. Like I'm going to be running in place forever and ever and ever, and I'm never going to grow forward. And that kind of realization really unlocked something for me. It made me realize that like very much I got stuck in this place of like overwork, underpaid, which is exactly how I serve my clients, to help them get unstuck, to help them go from being overworked and overpaid to working from a place of intentionality and surrender. It is what my entire brand is built upon. It is what I believe in so deeply. And yet I got derailed and was not embodying the kind of leadership that I know God has called me to embody, not just in my work online and not just with my clients, but also in my family and for myself and for my community at large. And so it was a very convicting in such a beautiful, grace-filled way, and it unlocked a lot of stuff for me. And since then, I have made a lot of changes. And one is what I just shared with you, focusing on a visibility platform and a connection platform that are not Instagram, quite frankly. I'm still going to be there. I'm not abandoning that platform, but it will no longer be the priority platform for me. And in this post that I talk about, where this sort of like breakdown that I had and like the steps that I'm doing to fix it, I share sort of the overall idea of like basically coming back to this foundations over flourishes, and sort of I have been wrestling with this idea of like, how can I really embody foundations over flourishes, a core principle I believe in so deeply? How can I actually walk this out in a way that's tangible for myself and practical for myself, and really showcases that like, no, I actually do believe the words that are coming out of my mouth and I actually want to live by them. And so this is one of those ways. The second thing that I did was I immediately bought it's called Brick, and it's a physical cube that you hold in your hands, and it has like a magnet on the back. So mine is like up high in the back corner of my fridge where it's kind of hard for me to reach. And it comes with the app. The app itself is free. There's no subscription. So you pay one fee and then you're done. You're not paying fees forever, which drives me nuts when it's like you have to buy the product and then you have to buy the subscription to use the product. That's insane. That's not happening here. It's a one-time fee and comes with this little cube. And then the app is free. Well, it like, comes with your purchase of the little cube thingy. And the whole point of it is to create a blockage to the apps that are distractions for you. So I have Threads, Substack, Honeybook, which is my like CRM and where I book a lot of clients and do a lot of client work for, especially for things like strategy sessions as I'm signing on clients to the Percolator, which there's only 3 spots left, and I have one very warm lead who's kind of on the fence. We'll see. So there is not a lot of spaces left. There's still a little time to enroll. I hope that you join us because I am really, really excited about the way the Percolator is going. But okay, bringing it back. So I block Instagram, Threads, Substack, my email account, and a few others, and social media and the things that like I habitually check over and over again. And so it won't allow you to click on it. When it clicks on it, this black screen comes up that's like, this is a distraction. To unbrick this, like you can unbrick it, whatever. But the way that you open it up so that you can get back in is you have to open the Brick app, click unbrick, and then go to the physical brick that's like the magnetic little cube, right? And scan it. It has like an NFC tag. Is that the right letters? And physically unbrick it. And then it will like open it back up and let everything come back to you. And I'm loving it. I've only used it a handful of days now. So, I might have a different review in a few weeks. Annoying. Like truly it's annoying because I don't think I realize, and I am like such a stickler. I have fought phone addiction for years. I think we all have in one form and another. And I have worked really hard to implement some pretty intense boundaries around it. And I shared a while ago that like I have lost hold of those boundaries, something fierce. And it shows, and I feel it in my body, in my mind, in my spirit, in every way. And having this has helped me tremendously. So I have it you can set up schedules, but when you set up the schedule, it sets it up to brick, but you have to still physically unbrick it. I kind of wish there was a way it could unbrick automatically, but the whole point is to create more friction points for you to get into those types of distractions so that you're only using it from a place of intentionality. You're not just like happening upon it. You're like how I talk about my overtime shift. So if you're not familiar with the overtime shift, I create for myself some standard work hours and some cues of when I need to stop working. And if I'm in the middle of a launch season or there's a big client project that needs doing, there was like a birthday party or a family event that I really wanted to go to, and I decide to commit to an overtime shift to make up for the time that I wasn't able to work earlier, then it's coming from a place of intentionality. Then I'm choosing to be here. I'm putting parameters on it. It's not that I'm falling into working too much. and then never coming up for air. And in the same way, Brick helps you do that, helps you to not just, I like to call it getting stuck. I open it up out of habit because like I want to go check the time and see, oh, what time is it? Do I need to pick up the kids from school? And the next thing I know, I've been scrolling on Instagram for 25 minutes. And it's like a huge waste of time. It's a huge waste of time. I'm preaching to the choir. I am certain you understand. But anyways, so I highly recommend. I'm going to put a direct link. I'll see if I have like a referral code or something. I don't know if I do or not. But anyways, it's really incredible. Referral code or no, I highly recommend it. And I've only used it a couple days and I'm already obsessed. I really, really love it, like a lot. And they have a lot of like ways that like people, there's like an extreme, I don't know what they call it, but they're within the settings of the app, you can set it up so that it won't let you uninstall the app either. So like if you're like feeling desperate and you know like you're gonna, oh, I'll just uninstall the app if I need to get onto something or whatever, you know what I mean? They have a way that will not let you uninstall it too. There's like all different kinds of cool parameters to set up. But anyways, I'm a huge fan, highly recommend it. So the first thing I did was sort of shift my marketing metric or marketing plan and my like community building plan and visibility plan, right? Decentralizing Instagram, step one, because that's a lot of effort for very little results is really what it boils down to. The second thing was I got a brick. The third thing is I'm trying very hard to come back to play. Because what happens to me is I get hyper focused on, and in part this is an ADHD thing, but I do think a lot of it is truly just like a control thing. And in my brain, I think if I work harder, if I'm weary, if I'm tired, if I'm always at it, then I will advance faster. When in reality, we all know that that's nonsense. And the opposite is what's actually going to be true, right? Like it's a balance. It's that intentionality and surrender. I can't just do nothing and expect to grow. But also no amount of me white knuckling things is going to help. That is blind hustle. That is everything I don't want to be. And so me intentionally planning for play, intentionally trying to get away from my screen and go on walks, take advantage of this beautiful weather that we've been having. It's cold but sunny, which is my literal dream, my friend. I love a cold but sunny weather. Truly, it's my favorite. And we have very few days that are cold and sunny. Usually if it's cold, it's also gray and rainy and awful. I love a rainy day too, but by the time we get to day 89 of nothing but gray rain, you don't love it as much anymore. So it's coming and I'm bracing myself for it. So I want to take advantage of these days. So I actually just came back from a little impromptu walk around my neighborhood, around the loop. What's so beautiful. And so I'm trying to do more of that and be really intentional about planning moments for play, for delight, for joy, and not just thinking to myself, oh, I don't have 20 minutes. I need to get this work done. But in reality, I'm stuck on Instagram for 20 minutes when I could have gone for a walk for 20 minutes. You know, like it's insane to me the way that I'm certain we have all done this. But it feels like, look, when you look at it from, when you pull yourself out of it and you look at it from like a bird's eye view, you realize how ridiculous this is. And that's kind of how I'm feeling. It's like a little bit foolish, a very silly, but like not silly in like a fun way, in like a foolish way, I suppose. But I just feel very grateful that it's been exposed and very grateful that God has given me the ability to pivot quickly. And the only reason I know that I'm able to pivot quickly is because I know what my strategic plan is. I know what I'm working towards. And because I've done so much foundational groundwork within my own person to start to treat ADHD, to treat depression and anxiety, to try and take better care of myself, to set up good foundations for household management. Like, otherwise, I think that this pivot would be much more painful for me than it is. And so for that, I feel very, very grateful. And speaking of, I've gotten several of you ask for more content surrounding like ADHD. And I've asked you guys many times on the show, like, hey, if that's something you want, you have to tell me you want it because I'm not going to dive into that content unless it's requested of me, because I don't want it to become, the conversations that we have around ADHD often really lean into this victim mentality. And I want so badly to not be associated with that. And so I'm only going to do it from an outpour of like serving you guys. And it's going to be coming from a place of a lot of nuance. And if that's something you're up for, we'll do it. And a lot of you have asked for it. So we're going to. Not right now. Right now is a chaotic, rambly episode. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. True voice memos energy today, my friends. Why did I say that in such a weird cadence? Okay. So after sort of spending some time intentionally playing, I'm also trying to find more ways to be intentional about movement and moving my body. I immediately signed up for a 5:30 a.m. workout class, which I haven't gone back to, but I think I'm going to. I've been trying to find other ways that I can, because it's that time frame that works best for me. But I didn't super love the class that I went to for a few reasons. It was fine, but finding a class that's like what I want, that's like at that time period, has proven very tricky. And I tend to not like, I need some outside accountability to follow through on something like that. So I don't know. I'm still working on figuring that out, but it is a priority of mine. And then the next thing that I will say that I'm doing is utilizing some of the systems that I've already set up for myself, like my action planner template. It's a free work planner that I have created. You can grab your own. It's hosted on Notion. It's really, really been such a blessing to me. And I created it first for myself, and then I adapted it for you guys to be able to have access to as well. When I'm using it well, it helps me to stay so much more consistent. I would say persistent is kind of the word I tend to use more so there, but in reaching and taking like steps towards reaching goals, like publishing content here on voice memos and working on writing out blog posts more and focusing more on the kinds of content and work that matters more for me in this season of life, rather than like constantly putting out fires. Because I have a little bit of a roadmap to follow, because I'm setting aside time to make a plan and then I can execute the plan. Though I will say, full disclosure, right now my action planner is a mess. And I want to kind of come back through and prioritize cleaning it up. And I've started that process kind of just a little bit at a time, because I'm finding certain tools aren't serving me in the way that they were before. And part of that is, it's not because of the action planner. I do think that the action planner is still a great resource, but I think as a person who gets bored easily, sometimes I just need to switch up the system a tiny bit. So the core elements of the system remain the same, but like I'm just juggling things around and kind of constantly sort of tweaking and refining things to make it a delight for me to be in that space again. And so that's something that I'm also doing. But all of that to say, though, like in an effort to really lean into the kind of leadership that I do believe God has called me to, I'm seeing immediate fruits from my efforts. Oh, and the final thing I will say is diving back into Bible study. I love to study scripture. I really want to go to like a Bible college, a theology school at some point would be wonderful. And I share more about that desire within, I think it's episode 5 of the Christina and Dusty show. The episode is titled When God, I think something like God Gave Us Each Other's Dreams. I think that's what it's titled. Anyways, I share more there, so I'm not going to go into that right here. But that's the next thing I've been diving into, because I don't know what it is, but like when I get into a season of life where things are hard and frantic and I'm starting to feel weary, it's so easy for me, and maybe it's not just me, maybe it's all of us, but I can speak from my own perspective, right? Like it's easy for me to pull back from all of the things that bring me joy and all of the things that serve me so well. And I think it's because fighting for joy takes effort. Clinging to systems that serve us is work. It just is. And when we feel weary and tired, I think Satan really likes to whisper this lie to us that like, you don't actually have to focus on that. You're too tired to go outside and go on a walk. Let yourself rest on the couch and scroll Instagram. And then while I'm scrolling on Instagram, I'm just beating myself down thinking like, why can't I create content like XYZ person? What, like all of these horrible narratives get unlocked in our brains, and it's just not healthy. But when I'm outside and I'm moving and I'm taking care of myself and I'm using the systems that I've worked really hard to create and protect for myself, then I can scroll Instagram and look at it from a place that's healthy and say, oh, this is really inspiring to me. What about this post is inspiring to me? What are the elements that I think I can infuse in my own brand in a way that's like my own unique take on this concept or on this thought or on this design or, whatever. I'm able to look at it from a place of discernment, kind of bringing it back around right to the top of the show when I was talking about like this discernment. And what it comes down to is discernment isn't possible when we are not, one, rooted in truth, and two, obeying truth. And part of that obedience comes down to taking care of ourselves as human beings, as image bearers of Christ, God didn't die on the cross for us and come back to life to prepare a place for us just so that we could be horrible to ourselves. That's not the God we serve, flat out. But I was being horrible to myself, and I wasn't protecting those kinds of systems, and I wasn't really embodying the kind of leadership that God called me to because I wasn't taking care of myself very well. And so I have quite truly turned a new leaf. I'm feeling re-energized for my work again. I'm feeling re-excited. The Percolator launch is still going strong. We have got about 2 weeks left for enrollment if you want to join the Percolator, where we're going to bring out all of these sort of themes that I'm talking about right now to life. Like, we're going to use my Arise framework to help walk you through creating your own strategic plan for your business, implementing it and refining it. It's kind of part 2 of the Grounded coursework that you can get access to Grounded right now too. But the Percolator is unique in that it's a mastermind and group mentorship program wherein I'm not adding a ton of extra homework for you. The goal is to give you a space to do the work. It's not about inspiration so much as it's about implementation. So if you're needing accountability, if you're needing a space to show up and get consulting and coaching and mentoring, if you're needing a place for community group ideation to refine your ideas, because the fact of the matter is, and I talked about it a few episodes ago, but like, isolation really is the death of motivation. And that's something that, another one of those things that I shared about in that post when I was ready to burn it all down. And I realized like, I'm not approaching these things in the way that I know God wants me to. One of those posts one of the things that I also mentioned was like a need for a richness in community. Because I realized, and I didn't go into it in the post, but I realized I've been consuming a lot of content from people who have a very different worldview than myself, which is fine. I think that's good. I think that's beautiful. But it wasn't in addition to studying more scripture and consuming content from people who are going to challenge me to go back to scripture. It was in replacement of it. And that's dangerous. So it is not bad for me to listen to business educators and other people from any niche who aren't rooted in scripture. That's good. We should be challenged to learn different principles from worldviews and ways of thinking that are outside of our own. But if we're replacing scriptural truth with that, that's danger. That's very, very, very dangerous, actually, because it pulls us away from life himself, from truth and love himself. And that's kind of what I was doing to a certain extent. And so, within the Percolator, though, it's designed to be an incubator of ideas, of yes, inspiration, but more so inspiration to implement, right? Like, the idea is that I'm not going to be adding a ton of stuff to your plate to do. I'm going to help you get the work done that's already set in front of you and help you figure out what's the best use of your time. How can you walk that out in a way that glorifies God, that blesses your people, that's within your capacity, and is going to get you the kind of results that you long for without like sacrificing your mental health? And this is like the phrase that I'm constantly saying. It's like sacrificing your mental health on like the altar of quote unquote success to get there. Because it's the success isn't the problem. It's when success is on an altar and success is idolized and success is synonymous with blind hustle. That's the problem. And the Percolator is kind of the antithesis of that. And I'm really excited about it. Like, I loved being able to host it last fall. And I learned so much. And seeing the success stories from all 4 of the women that were in that first cohort it's such a blessing to have played a part in their stories in that way. And also, this cohort is going to be incredible. The content that I have been able to create, the guests that I have lined up to speak. So on the 4th week of every month, it's kind of a rest week. I'm considering doing something like office hours or something, or like a mic off work session so that we all have some time to like have accountability to work on the thing that we say we're going to work on, because it's easier to protect that time in our calendar if somebody else is showing up. In the same way that like I have a hard time working out at home because nobody cares if I do or if I don't. But if I sign up for a class, like there's accountability there, right? So I might do that with that 4th week. But there will be either a guest expert lesson or a bonus lesson, a guest expert interview within the private podcast player that's like specific for Percolator members, students, clients. I actually don't know what to call clients, maybe, board members. I don't know. Regardless, and I'm very excited. I have an incredible like CFO that I'm going to be interviewing, and a somebody who specializes in email marketing, and there's a couple other that are like back and forth. I haven't quite decided yet, but the guest list is looking incredible, and I'm really, really, really excited. I'll be sharing that once I have everything sort of set in stone. But Percolator members are going to get the opportunity to like give me their questions so that I can ask them, our guests, those questions. And you can get the information that you really want to learn the most from these experts in their industries and use that to fuel your own work and inspire you and encourage you and help you to steward the work that God's put right before you. Anyways, okay. This rambly episode has gone on far long enough. Thanks for hanging out with me. We'll chat next week. Okay, bye.